Hello, everybody. Welcome to the SIG Cloud Provider meeting, Wednesday, May 25th. We will be going ahead and getting started. So we're going to go ahead and start with triage. And it looks like we have 3 issues. Some of these look a little bit familiar. Unmount device failed for volume.
It looks like they say they're using AWS EBS in-tree dynamic provisioning down at the bottom of that section. I don't know if that
is
right
relevant,
there.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Where do you see that?
Right above the what did you expect to happen?
Perfect. All right. Let's go ahead and accept this. And I think I can assign myself for now. This one also looks relevant to me.
Yeah, I read this one and I thought it was interesting because I wonder, I'm not sure, but I wonder, is it possible to make some of that stuff configurable? Because like they're noticing that there's a bunch of traffic that they don't want in their logs or whatever, but like, I wonder how configurable that is. I don't know if that's possible, but maybe that's the sort of thing that would be valuable to make configurable. That sure is chatty.
Yeah, and it's actually, they're running into bandwidth issues from this, or are they
Yeah,
just
I think
annoyed
they're claiming that there's rate limiting, that I guess this is getting in the way of traffic they care about or something.
I hear a trivial optimization. I'm interested to see what actual negative consequences they're experiencing from this, because
Yeah,
I've never heard of someone
yeah, I'm just wondering what
this.
what the metadata service rate limiting manifests itself as, you know? Like how do they see that it interesting. Oh, that person says that it has actually changed recently. Interesting.
I think he's just referring to the extraction to external CCM. So I think this is referring to kubelet, hence the hitting the metadata endpoint.
Of course.
Go ahead and accept it and dig in a little bit more, see what the issue is. And then is this the one from before? I think
this one has been around for a little bit. I actually looked at this one just because we just put the, I see. So we just put the service selector to, you know, like basically this person is saying, we think that this is solved. And then I dug in and I saw that they are running 1.19. So like, I have no idea if they've managed to reproduce it recently. Yeah.
Got it.
I'm not sure if we can give them any solutions if they can't test with a more recent version. When you see, if you dig into the specific version that they're experiencing this with.
Got it.
And then you can see the comment from my colleague from April 22nd, where he's like, well, it's fixed and masked, or it's not released yet. So, yeah.
Okay. Would you mind at least triaging this and determining if we should investigate further or if it's already fixed?
Yeah, just go ahead and triage accept it. I want to say this is already assigned to me, but maybe it's not. Yeah, it is. I don't know why it still says needs triage. Sorry about that.
No worries. I didn't accept it because I wasn't sure if you wanted it. So,
No, it's
but
fine.
okay.
It's just
cool.
like, I don't, basically, like, if they're running 1.19 and this might be fixed currently, then if they can't replicate it currently, I'm not sure if there's a lot we can do to help, since we're not going to fix 1.19.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and go through sub-project updates. So I will just go, actually, I'll give everyone a minute to fill out any updates that they have. And then we'll go through the list.
I just put the link to the Google Doc in the chat in case people didn't have it handy.
All right. Looks like AWS is first. So we have some new releases of the CCM. They're all stable versions now. So we had them tagged with alpha for quite a while, but we're stable. And then tagging controller support was merged. That's a controller that we were working on that allows specific tags to be added to instances that are specified in a config file or in a flag. So Azure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was just Kubecon, but the one thing that I noted that recently happened is that we just got a release out that had of Kubernetes patch releases that actually has a bug fix that affects entry for Azure file. So that might be of interest to anyone paying attention to that. Other than that, same old, same old.
Great. GCP.
Hi. We are preparing repository to cut release 123 to do clean cut on it. It requires some library updates.
Got it. IBM, no updates. And
yeah, no updates for me. IBM.
Cool. No update. See vSphere. No updates.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see Walter. I don't believe we had an extraction migration meeting last week. I think some of us were at Kubecon, so I didn't even look to see if it was happening.
Well, I was during that meeting and no one showed up other than me and Walter. So we just discussed our internal Google.
Got it. Okay. Cool. So I think we can say no updates for that. Moving on to the agenda. Joel.
Hi. So I did this a couple of weeks ago, and there has been a couple of responses since on the issue, and it seems to be that it's basically looking at the way that the person's responded. It looks like it might be a no fix, but I just wanted to quickly discuss it and just explain what we're seeing, and then see what the general consensus is, whether we should fix this or not. So basically what's happening is in AWS, the DHCP options, you can set those to have an empty domain name, at which point it starts returning different values for the host name, which kubelet would normally pick up, versus the private DNS name. And if you set the domain to be something that is, your own domain or whatever, it works correctly and those two match up. But if it's empty, the private DNS name ends up as with this mismatch. And the way that the CCM falls back looking up the node when there's no provider ID relies on this, relies on the private DNS name rather than the actual value that kubelet might get. So because the metadata doesn't have access to the private DNS name, it's very hard to put anything on kubelet to make this work. The only workaround we found is to try and set the provider ID. If you do the provider ID, then this works and it's fine. We don't even need the name check, but basically there's a mismatch in how the name is being used to look up the provider ID. And the upshot is it's very difficult to diagnose because the node gets created by kubelet and then CCM deletes it within a few seconds. So it looks like your node has not joined the cluster correctly. But yeah, it's very confusing. So Dan, who's written this up, is actually much more knowledgeable on this than I am. And I asked him to write up quite a thorough thing, so he has done. Basically, the question here is, do we expect that the kubelet should always be registered with the FQDN, even if someone's saying custom magic DHCP options that mean that the FQDN technically should be just the standard hostname?
So a couple questions. So are you saying this does work if the DHCP option set is not empty, like if there's an actual domain name there?
Yeah, if you put actual domain name, it works fine.
Mm-hmm.
If it's empty, it doesn't work.
Okay, and so what's the use case for having that empty? Because I'm not sure if I've seen that before.
Yeah, good question. Can't remember that one. To be honest, I've forgotten I put this on the agenda, so I'm a little ill-prepared. Might have to get back to it.
I'm just wondering how common this is, because that could kind of determine what we need to do, or if there's workarounds for the use case or not. But and then the other thing is, node name is sort of moving towards instance ID. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm just wondering about the use case and people on this use case, are they stuck on this? Is this like a required configuration, or is this something that we just sort of ran across? But that being said, let's see. So it looks like the failure mode is the node is unable to join the cluster. So that's
the node joins, but then the CCM deletes it within a few seconds, which then becomes very confusing.
Yeah, that's a horrible failure mode. So if this is a legitimate use case, then I would hope we could improve that behavior, even if just making it fail more gracefully. Yeah, but without digging in more, it's hard for me to comment on exactly what the behavior should be.
Okay, that's cool. I will try and work out that use case question and bring this up again in a few weeks. Because as I say, I forgot I'd put this on there. So I'll also make sure that Dan and the others that are working on this join the call as well.
No worries. I mean, I think it's clearly worth looking into just to kind of figure out what the use case is, and because the failure mode is pretty bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and accept this and take a closer look at it. Cool. Thanks for bringing that up, though.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. All right, folks, anybody have any other items that we want to bring up on the agenda? I guess we can do a quick Kubecon recap just for fun. So I will go first and just mention that we did a talk. It's just a SIG Cloud Provider update. Not really a deep dive, but we went through like what migration is, why we're doing it, a few updates on I don't know, like what has made it to alpha recently, what has made it to beta and GA recently. So leader migration, kubelet image credential provider, stuff like that. And then for those cloud providers that submitted slides, we just talked through the slides and did our best to either read them, or those that had a lot of text, we would just like mention a few things and let the audience read them. And then got a couple of really good questions. One from Matt Booth, who I think is some of your colleagues, who asked about whether or not the Kube Controller Manager's external cloud volume plugin should be kind of, I don't know if it should be required for all, but basically, like, he was saying that probably cloud providers should enable that flag when doing volume migration, just to meet the version skew policy. So I think the idea there is just that if you disable the entry plugins, then you're not really meeting version skew policy. I think maybe the counter argument there is that it should be like moving on to CSI and doing migrations should be kind of invisible to users. So as long as you have CSI installed, like the API objects don't stop working, but it just requires a customer to install something. So I don't know, it's an interesting conversation. I think we should dive into it a little bit more in the SIG. I'll put a note here.
Yeah, that is really interesting, Nick, because it kind of comes to the question of what do you want the default expectation or behavior to be? Like, what should
Right.
people expect if they haven't configured something, or you don't even know to configure it? Kind of giving them that happy path of defaults.
Yeah.
Just going to add as well, I sent this as the message, it's actually quite bad if you don't have it enabled and the CSI migration goes through, because any volume that was mounted pre the CSI migration cannot be unmounted. The CSI can't unmount it if it was mounted by the entry, is what I was told by the SIG storage folks.
Oh, I did not know that. That is not the case that I thought. Okay.
That sounds like, if that is the case, and it sounds like it may be, then it sounds like we need a very big breaking change sort of warning for people.
I was told that by SIG storage probably about a year ago. So we've enabled that in OpenShift, and that's kind of like on through all of our migrations. And then we're only going to get rid of it like 2 releases after, to give sufficient time for those volumes to hopefully have been unmounted.
Oh, sweet summer child. You hope somebody has changed something in what, 6 months, 8 months? Oh boy.
It's all right. I know we reboot stuff. So we have a get out of jail free card. Sorry about the rest of you.
I mean, it would be lovely if everyone would update their clusters. Yeah. Yeah, I had a conflict at Kubecon, so I wasn't able to make it to the SIG Cloud Provider talk. But I'm happy to hear that there were some good questions, and I'm eager for the video when it comes up. When it gets posted, we'll definitely want to put a link in the notes here and, you know, put it on Slack and whatnot.
I was just checking, and it was Jan Shafranik who told me that, who is one of the tech leads for SIG Storage. So I'm hoping he's
Okay.
right, or was at the
Yeah.
time.
Well, that's super good to know. All right. Did anyone else want to talk about Kubecon or anything else?
I will say that as a contrast to Los Angeles, we definitely had a lot more end users and just, you know, general people who don't necessarily work at cloud providers or vendors at this Kubecon, which makes me hopeful for Detroit. It seems like things might be ramping back up in terms of, you know, the customers and community members that we can talk to who, hey, I kind of enjoyed vendor Kubecon, but I feel like that's not a sustainable path forever. So it was good to see it being more active. Yeah.
Agreed. And on that note, we should do something more at the next Kubecon, perhaps. Like, you know, if people are planning on being there, we should do a more official gathering. Like, we had a super unofficial AWS thing at this one, but we didn't do anything as a SIG. So I don't know, it might be interesting to, you know, we've done a dinner in the past. We could do something like that, or we could do like just a quick meetup chat, something like that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think schedules can be very hectic, but definitely getting, I wonder if, I know that there were like the project booths again this year. I wonder if there will be any either pre-day, like half-day session rooms that we could get, or maybe rotating time at like a CNCF booth or something, just to kind of have a little gathering area.
Yeah.
Or hey, this year Microsoft sponsored one of those activation zone. I don't understand what that means, but there was a like driving game, video game, like actual chairs you could sit and drive on a video game in. So hey, you know, SIG Cloud providers just get together and hang out at one of the game or booths.
Okay. Game place thingy. All right. I was not aware of that. I think I missed out.
I have no idea if they're going to do it again or not, but because I have no insight into what causes that, but it was cool.
Sounds pretty
It's
cool.
like a driving game.
That
In the
sounds
expo
awesome.
hall, well, one of the expo halls, there were two, which was very confusing. And so half the time I would not see people who were over in the other one. And yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we'll have to do something like that next time. All right. We are out of agenda items. Did anybody have anything else, or shall we wrap? All right. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thanks.